Creating motivation that sticks and beating procrastination. This is our presentation today. One of the biggest things for motivation is knowing that we're aiming at the right thing. If we're not moving towards the right thing, then we're not going to feel motivated to do it. So it's quite hard for us to know what the right thing is. But as Graham was just saying, like, he feels so passionate about what he's doing, and every time he moves forward, he feels so great about it. So he's clearly moving towards the right thing. And we need to ask ourselves, what is the right thing? And I believe that the right thing really is the highest good, is the highest thing that we can perceive possible. Because when we perceive the highest thing possible, we know it's going to be hard, but we know that the fulfillment and the feeling we're going to get once we achieve it is going to be incredible, like much better than anything else. So when we make progress towards that, our incentive and reward system, which we have in our bodies, so it's one of the main biological motivational forces in our bodies, is the incentive and reward system. When we make progress towards a goal that we're trying to achieve, our brain sends out signals to release positive hormones into our body: serotonin, dopamine, lots of nice things, like those positive feel-good hormones that you get from exercise as well, and that everyone talks about. So when you're making progress towards something, you feel good. And the higher you can perceive that desired end, the even better you're going to feel when you make progress towards it. And I believe we should pick something hard, challenging, and heroic, something that makes us grow and expands our comfort zone. Because really, the purpose of setting goals and the purpose of setting and achieving goals is to make us grow as human beings. There's a quote from Jim Rohn. It basically says, like, don't set a goal to make $1 million to make $1 million. Set a goal for who you will become along the way to making $1 million, because of the discipline and how much you have to grow as a human to do that. Sometimes, though, we can't always see the light in the darkness. And what we first can do is just try and get away from the bad, like the bad things that are happening in our life, the bad habits, the bad people, the bad situations, all these things that we know aren't good for us, we can just start to get away from. And once we can define what those bad things are, like, I don't want to be around these people anymore, I don't want this job anymore, then you can say, okay, well, if I don't want to be around these people, what sort of people do I want to be around? And then you can trick yourself into thinking in that way. You can trick yourself into seeing the light in the darkness. And I believe we should aim for what is meaningful, not what is pleasurable. That's not a constant, because from my story, I was doing what was pleasurable. I was following my joy, and I found something amazing. But if you're going for this future hindsight perspective, when you're at the end of your life and you're looking back, what's going to be the most powerful thing? What's going to be the most thing that you are happy that you did? And I believe that is if you put your effort into something that is meaningful, not pleasurable. Starting is quite often the hardest part. So this is a Chinese proverb: a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So if you're just starting out something new, really, it can be the hardest part. It's just taking that first step, but do it and it's worth it. Okay, we're going to get straight into this feeling and belief exercise, which is fun. So we're going to write down 5 or more things that you would like to achieve in the next 6 months if you knew you couldn't fail and money wasn't an object. Okay, we're going to do that now first. We're going to take just a couple minutes to do that. Set up timer here. Quickly, things I want to say things that are personal to you, things that you would like to achieve in your life. We all love if we could achieve world peace in the next 6 months, but it doesn't really apply to this exercise. What this is 5 or more things that you would like to achieve in your own life. Like if you wanted to lose weight or gain weight or have a certain type of business or have a certain type of relationship, etc. 5 things. We'll do it as quick as we can. Okay, that was about 3 minutes. So I hope you've got at least 5. If you haven't, if you've got 4, it doesn't matter. It's all good. If you can do this again sometime, if you want some ideas or get some clarity, or just for something interesting to do, then you want to try and get like 8 or 10. That'd be great. But we limited it for this just because we didn't have a huge amount of time. Right, now we're going to rate each of these desires on how good it would make you feel if you did it. 1 being you wouldn't care at all, and 10 being through the roof joy. Just gonna do that quickly. So 1 to 10 on how it would make you feel. This could be excitement, it could be fulfilled, it could be any good positive feeling. All right. Hopefully everyone's done that. Now, rate each of the desires on your belief level on whether you will achieve it or not in the next 6 months. 6 being never, no way, and 10 being 110%, no doubt, you know you're going to do it. Okay, so you've got your first score, which is how good you'll feel. Your second score now is your belief level on whether you're going to achieve this in the next 6 months. Or I should say, if you could achieve it in the next 6 months. Right, now you want to add up the scores. For each desire, add up the scores. And you might want to underline the result of the addition so you know which number it is. Now, what you're looking for here is obviously the highest score, because it's in a sweet spot here of the feeling, that the good feeling that you're going to get, which is going to make you feel more motivated to do it, and also high belief, because the more you believe it's going to happen, you'll also be more inclined to take action towards it. So you're looking for like 16 plus here. If you've got something like that, then that could be something that you want to pursue. This is something that you want to, the road you want to go down. I've got a few high ones here, and some, like I've done this before, and some desires have popped up that I wouldn't have really thought. And then I thought, oh yeah, actually that would be cool. And then I'm like, oh, I'm actually really excited about that. Oh, actually, I kind of really believe that could happen. So I'm not like, oh, maybe I should go down that route. And it's not something that I have, it hasn't been in my field of view before that point. So it's a quite a fun thing to do. This used to be called the excitement and belief exercise, but we tried to broaden it out because not everything is exciting. Some things are more meaningful than just excitement. Here we have a quote from Dr. Jordan Peterson. Don't underestimate the power of vision and direction. These are irresistible forces able to transform what might appear to be unconquerable obstacles into traversable pathways and expanding opportunities. Strengthen the individual. Start with yourself. Take care of yourself. Define who you are. Refine your personality. Choose your destination and articulate your being. As the 19th century German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche so brilliantly noted, he who has a why can bear almost any how. So here we get into reasons. And this is really the why behind what you do. You need a reason to what you're doing. And we need a reason why we will do something, and we need a reason why we won't do something. So not everything is we're trying to do stuff. Sometimes a lot of our goals are we're trying to not do stuff. We're suffering from like addictive habits or just like overeating or things like that, then we're trying to not do those things. So we need those reasons why we will. And I said a quote from Jim Rohn. I think he's got a quote in here later as well in this presentation. He said that he had a debt collector, and one of his reasons was that he wanted to go into the bank or wherever it was that he owed money to, because they were just hounding him, calling him every day, just hounding him. And he said that he couldn't pay him right away. So he drew out all the money in pennies, and he went in there and he dumped the whole load of pennies on this guy's desk and said, there you go, you can count it, and just walked out. And that was one of his reasons that he wanted to be successful. Sometimes it can start with anger. You know, you want to prove people wrong sometimes. But we all need reasons why we're going to do something. And the reason should be defined. We should write this down. If we have a goal, we need to know the why of why we're doing it. What is the purpose behind it? And asking ourselves, is it fulfilling? Using that future hindsight, looking like, see ourselves in years from now, looking back on that thing as if we achieved it, and are we happy that we did this? And a great thing to do here to find out the deep why of what we're trying to do is called the 7 levels of why. We're not going to do that now, but we have done it in other presentations that are now on YouTube. So this is basically, you put your goal down, say, I want to buy a house. And then you ask yourself, why do I want to buy this house? And then you write down, because I want to have security of living, say. And then you ask yourself, why do I want to have security of living? And then you write, because I want to feel safe and, you know, have a good foundation. And you go down and you do this 7 times. And by the time you get to the bottom, it will quite often be so disconnected from your original thing that you've actually written down, but it gives you a really deep meaning to why you're really doing things. The secret of success is learning how to use pain and pleasure instead of having pain and pleasure use you. If you do that, you're in control of your life. If you don't, life controls you. That's from Tony Robbins. Pain and pleasure. We associate pain to doing the things we must do and pleasure with not doing them quite often. And we need to learn to switch these things around. If we want to go running, we want to start the running habit. We want to get into exercising, whatever it is, but we're not doing it. We're procrastinating. We're not motivated to do it. It can be because you're associating too much pain with running and pleasure with not running. Because if you don't run, you just get to sit down and, you know, have some food and watch some TV, and it's a very pleasurable experience. But if you go running, then it's painful. Like, you're going to be like hurting. You're going to be out of breath. You're going to be sweating. You're going to be smelly. It's not going to be a nice experience. So you're associating more pain with the thing you want to do and pleasure with not doing it. And you can switch that around by looking into the future in saying, if I go running, I'm going to have the body I want. I'm going to feel healthy. I'm going to feel more energy in the future. So you're bargaining with the future in that way. And if I don't go running, then I'm going to probably descend into a more not healthy state. Maybe I'll gain some weight. Maybe I'll feel less energy as the years go on. And so when you look at it in that way, you're swapping the pain and the pleasure around. You're looking into the future and thinking, now, as soon as I've said that, I'm associating more pleasure with going running and pain with not going running. So if we can look into the future that far, then we can use pain and pleasure to our advantage. Inspiration and fear, the cat and mouse. So this comes into we have 2 main biological motivational systems in our bodies. One of them is an incentive and reward system, which I mentioned earlier. And the other is fight or flight. That's like our caveman instincts. So really, they're inspiration and fear, like what we're inspired to do, what we want to go towards, and what we're scared of, what we're running from. And there was an experiment done where they took a mouse and they put it at the end of a tunnel with a trap door at the end, and they put a bit of food there, and they can measure how motivated the mouse was to get the food by attaching a string to its tail and seeing how hard it pulled on the string or spring. And so they opened the trap door and the mouse pulled and ran towards the food, and they could measure how motivated it was. And that is motivated by inspiration. That's motivated by incentive and reward. The incentive is the food, and reward is being satiated, eating. And what they then did was had another vent behind the mouse where they wafted in cat odor, which is my favorite odor, by the way. And they wafted that in, and mice are biologically wired to fear cats. They'd never have to smell a cat. They never have to see a cat. But if they smell or see a cat, they're instinctively scared, and they will run. So what happened when they wafted in this cat odor behind the mouse is that the mouse was more motivated to get away from that and towards the food than it was when the cat odor wasn't there. So this is how we can use these two biological motivational systems, is by looking into the future, which is our next meeting. I believe we're going to do a writing workshop when we look into the future 5 years from now, and we define, if we developed ourselves into the greatest versions of ourselves and did all the things we know we should do, how good could things get? How good could our lives possibly be? And how good could we feel about our life? And what would have to be happening in our life for us to feel that good about it? And then on the other side, if we put everything off and we didn't take any action, we didn't change, where could we end up? Or even worse, if we let all of our worst traits and our worst habits escalate, how bad could things get? Quite often in personal development, we're told to focus on goals, set out where you want to go, look to the future, always like the positive, focus on the positive and the good, never on the negative. But I've been like that in the past, and really I've noticed things starting to happen when I've started to use both of these motivational systems. So if you can do this, if you can look to the future and you have the highest high, like this vision of the future, as if you put yourself together and you worked on yourself and you did all the things you know you should do, how good could things possibly get 5 years from now? And on the other side, if you didn't do any of that and you just didn't change and you actually let all those bad habits and things take over you, how bad could things possibly get? How bad down the spiral could things go? And once you've got those two visions, you have inspiration and fear. You have something to run towards and something to run from. And you're going to find yourself a lot more motivated then, because you're using both of those biological systems. Because what happens if you don't do this negative side of it, you have this vision of the future, this positive vision, and you're associating inspiration with that vision, and you're also associating fear with the vision as well, because you haven't got anything else to associate your fear to. So you desire success, you desire what you're trying to achieve, but you're also scared of it. So if you can do this and separate those things, so you have something to run from and something to run towards, you're going to feel so much more motivated to go out and do that. If you wait until what you're refusing to investigate to come knocking at your door, things are certainly not going to go well for you. What you least want will inevitably happen, and will happen when you are least prepared. What you least want to encounter will manifest when you are weakest, and it is strongest, and you will be defeated. I put that in there just after that last section, saying if we don't do the things we know we should do, if we don't make the changes we know we should, then those things are going to catch up on us. And it's not going to be very nice when they do. Conditioning. This is all about conditioning our subconscious mind. And the more we can do that, the more we will be inclined to take action towards our goals. So we can do this by setting present, or past tense goals. So when you write your goals out, you write them, I have, or I am doing this thing. And then these are affirmations then, and they influence your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind works like a computer. So you can program it to act in a certain way. And once it's programmed, it will continue to carry out that program. So if you condition your subconscious mind to believe that you have achieved what you're trying to achieve, you will start to take actions unconsciously that will actually guide you, take you in the direction you're trying to go. So we can do this through affirmations, through visualization, visualizing what you're trying to achieve. This is a very good way to influence the subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what you're seeing in reality and an image that you're imagining in your mind. Feeling orientation. So when you're visualizing and when you're affirming these things, try and stir up the feeling of how it would feel if you already had these things. And then you can go throughout your day keeping that feeling. And this is going to set up the law of attraction for you and help you manifest this into your life. And denial and affirmation is a very, very important thing. It's very close to akin to CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. And if you're trying to condition your subconscious mind, when you're starting out with this, if you're trying to achieve something that you haven't achieved before, quite often doubt will come up and worry, and you'll start to doubt whether you can achieve it or not. And those negative thoughts aren't anything to do with your ability to whether you can achieve that or not. They are only a reflection of your conditioning. They are not reality. They're just from your conditioning. So what you can do is, when a negative thought comes up, you deny it, because it's only coming from your conditioning. It's not anything that's in reality. It's not something that's out there telling you feedback from the actual world saying you can't do this. It's just yourself doubting yourself. And we need to have our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions in alignment. So we can stop these negative thoughts. When a negative thought arises, we deny it. We say error thought, like an error on the computer. It's an error thought, error thought. So I'm trying to get a new job. I wake up one day and in my head, I'm thinking, you're not worth it. You're not worth the extra money. You can't get a new job. Error thought, get that out. And then you affirm it with something positive and you say, I know I am good enough to get this job. I am so happy and grateful now that I have the new job, which pays me the desired amount that I'm trying to achieve. And when you do this, you want to call upon as much detail and as much feeling as you can, as if you had already achieved it. And if you do this enough, guys, if you do this enough, those negative thoughts, they will stop coming. You'll just start to believe in yourself, and all those negative thoughts of self-doubt will just stop coming up like that. Because like I said, those thoughts aren't a reflection of your ability. They're only a reflection of your conditioning from the past. The same thoughts will always lead to the same choices. Same choices lead to the same behavior, and the same behaviors lead to the same experiences. And the same experiences produce the same emotions, and those emotions drive the very same thoughts. So this is from Dr. Joe Dispenza, and this is really what CBT is all about as well. Is like there's this cycle of thought, feeling, action, and then the reaction, which is the same thought again. And CBT and denial and affirmation is about breaking up that pattern. When that negative thought arises, you error thought it, you deny it, and you affirm it with something positive. Decision. Decision is the opposite of procrastination. So if we're really procrastinating and we don't want to do something, sometimes all it takes is a firm decision, and just take a moment and just think, God damn it, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And then you just go and do it immediately. And maybe we've all had times like this in our life, and we just thought, I'm biting the bullet and I'm going for it. And we are almost always happy that we did. Make a strong and clear decision, and moral choices in every moment. So what that means is doing the best for ourselves and other people and our own future, and having that why, remembering our why, and being able to look at ourselves in that moment from the future, and bringing that all of everything we just covered into every choice you make. Do I want to go for a run right now, or do I want to eat a burger? Do I want to make this sales call, or do I want to just go and play on the PlayStation? Like those moral choices, you are bargaining with the future here. A great thing here is a 5-second rule. It's from a woman called Mel Robbins. Check her out if you have a big problem with procrastinating. Her whole thing is about making decisions in that moment and then just going for it. So if there's something you want to do, if you wake up in the morning and you think, oh, I've got to go for a run, got to go for a walk, and you're not feeling up to it, you count down in your head, 5, 4, 3, 2. And before you get to 1, you do it every single time. So if you want to do something and you're not feeling up to it, like, oh, no, I'm not going to do it, then you count down from 5 to 1 in your head. And before you get to 1, you have to do it. Sometimes we're scared of doing things. And it's not that people don't feel fear. It's that their courage overrides their fear, I believe. And when you decide on something, you are bargaining with the future, whether things will be better or worse. It doesn't matter which side of the fence you get off on sometimes. What matters most is getting off. You cannot make progress without making decisions. And that is from Jim Rohn. Prioritizing. We often put off the one thing we're supposed to be getting on with by distracting ourselves with less important things. We've all done this. We know there's something we need to get on with, and we end up doing everything but that thing. And here is a exercise we can do. We're not going to do it now, but something you might want to take a screenshot of this or something, something you can do that will help you prioritize and organize what you should be doing and help you to put them in alignment and see them in a way which you know what you're going to be doing first. So what you're going to do is write down all the areas in life that you want to progress in, things that are important to you. And you write them down, not numbered, you just write them down. So say business, relationships, spirituality, anything that you want to progress in, okay? And then after you've done that, number them starting from 1, 1 being the most important. So you look through your list of areas of life. These are now values. These are the things you value in life. And you number them. What's the most important thing to me here? You put a 1. What's next to that? 2, 3, 4, 5, and you go all the way down. Now, as you go after that, you take the number 1, the most important thing you value, the most important area in your life. You move and you write that down at the head of another page, and you list the activities in that area of life that you know will help you progress in the best way possible. And this could be 10 different things you need to do. If it's business, there's probably going to be quite a few things, or career, there's going to be quite a few things. If it's health, it might just be 2 things like diet and exercise. If it's spirituality, it might just be meditate, and you list these things out. So now you have these areas of life, your values, a hierarchy of your values. You know which things are most important to you. And now you know the activities in each area of life that are going to help you progress. Now, if you ever feel confused, lost, don't know what to do, you're not sure what to get on with, you look through here. You go through, okay, this is important to me. I know this is important to me. And I know I've got all these things here that I could be doing. And quite often we put off the hardest thing, and it's quite often the hardest thing that gets the most results. So I like the philosophy of kind of doing the hardest thing first, and then from then it's just, all much easier. You now know what area of life you value the most and which activity is going to help you progress in that area the best. Start with the thing that is going to help you progress the most. Here's something that I've done in the past that helped me prioritize processes, really. Remember, every activity is part of the process. Everything is important as everything else. It's all part of the process. And if you have a process in your life, like I know Graham, he's doing his Patreon. He's trying to gain Patreon subscribers so he can grow his business and his charitable projects. So I'm sure there's a process that he could write down, which we're going to do that right now. So first of all, we could write down different areas of our life that we're working on, which we did in the last one. This works best for career-related stuff. So because it's more systemized, for each area, write a list of all the activities you have to do during the process in chronological order. So when I started out my YouTube business, I had to do everything myself. So I did this because I was like, what am I doing? I was running my building conservation company, and I was doing this YouTube thing on the side. I was getting confused. So I did this for both things I was doing. For my YouTube business, I said, right, first thing I need to do is write a list of the videos I'm going to make. Second thing I'm going to do is source the information for a video. Next thing I'm going to do is write a script for the video. Next thing I've got to do is do a voiceover for the video. Next thing I've got to do is source all the video and pictures and everything that's going to go into the video. Next thing I'm going to do is edit the video. Next thing I'm going to upload it. Then I've got to make a thumbnail. Then I'm going to publish it. So I have these like activities, 10 things that I have to do in order as they go. And what I did is now reverse the order of the list. So you've now reverse engineered your to-do list. And now at the top is the last thing on the order. So now at the top of mine was publish a video. So, okay, I've got 2 videos ready to go. So I published them, but now I haven't got any videos left. So I moved down. I have to make thumbnails. Okay, I've got 1 video that needs a thumbnail. So I made a thumbnail, and then I'm back to the start. I'll publish that one. And then I moved down. I haven't got any thumbnails to make. Okay, but I've got a video to edit. And once I've edited it, I can move up the scale every time. So you start at the end of your process and work backwards every time. So you're not leaving things undone, and you're doing the most important thing. For me, in my building restoration company, the last thing was make sure I've been paid by the customer. And then it was send the invoice. And then it was make sure they're happy with the work. And then it was finish the job. And then it was do the job, and those way rounds. But like, there's no point in me going out looking for more work. There's no point in me writing a list of loads of videos to make and sourcing loads of information if I haven't followed through on those things. So it will make you finish the process every time you go through. You're not unfinishing anything you do. It's not really applicable to every area of life, but it's something that's helped me a lot to gain clarity on those processes. And once you have that, you've created a system then, and you can start outsourcing parts of that to other people, which is what I've done in my YouTube business. So now all I do is make the thumbnails and publish the videos. Everything else is done by other people. So once that's systemized, then a system is really like an artificial intelligence. And once it's set up, it can just carry on running by itself. So altering your perspective around things is going to really help you see things in different ways, your perspective, which is going to change your motivation. Yeah, that was great. So the more we learn and inspire ourselves, the more we're going to influence our subconscious mind and feel more inclined to want to do things that are positive. We want to cultivate a personal philosophy that serves us. So learn things. There's certain things in life that you can't prove. There's a quote from Albert Einstein, and I'm going to mess this up probably, but it's basically there's 2 ways to look at the world. Firstly, as if everything is a miracle, and secondly, as if nothing is a miracle. And I just think if one of the brightest minds that's ever lived comes out with that, you can't prove whether life is a miracle or life is meaningless. So we should choose one of those. And why wouldn't we choose the thing that's more beautiful? If you've seen The Life of Pi, that movie basically said it's the same thing. Like the whole story is he's making it up. And yeah, but it didn't actually happen in that way, but he just told the story in a much more beautiful way. So we should cultivate a personal philosophy that serves us. We can choose our beliefs, choose things that are going to make us see life in a much more beautiful way. Find something that is positive about the task you're trying to do. Maybe you really don't like what you're trying to do, but maybe there's some aspects of it that you do like. So changing your perspective about it, or like I said earlier about, you don't have to like what you do to love what you do. So if you know you have to do this one thing now that you don't really like, but it's going to take you towards the thing that you really want to do, then you don't have to like that thing you're doing right now to love the process. Look at it with hindsight. We've mentioned that a few times. Leave the past in the past. If we're driving along on a motorway and the whole time we're staring in the rear view mirror, we're not going to get very far until we crash. So it's best to look forward and leave the past in the past. You know, let the dead bury the dead. One of the greatest teachers said that. Expect suffering and embrace it. Sometimes we're damned if we do, and we're damned if we don't. Sometimes we're backed into a corner and there's no good way out. So you just have to choose your suffering, basically. The Buddhists believe that life is suffering and enlightenment is the end of that suffering. Bear your responsibility. There's a great correlation between responsibility and meaning. If you have a little sister that needs you to look after her, you know, she's like young, she's like 4 or 5, say, and you're like in your teens, then it's your responsibility to look after her. And that is giving your life meaning. If you have an elderly relative that you need to look after, that gives your life meaning, because responsibility and meaning are akin to one another. So if we need more meaning in our life, we should try and adopt more responsibility. When you change your perception, it will change how you view all of the other points. You'll start to look at what you want rather than what you don't want. You'll embrace the difficulty. You'll keep your attention on your why. You'll have a telescope into the potential future. You'll see what could happen if you don't do this and what could happen if you do it. You'll know why it's possible for you, and you'll decide to do what is best for yourself and the future in every moment.